No, screw you. I am not ready. I will start when I fucking want to. Welcome to the Good Luck and Have Fun podcast. This is Devin.
This is Josh.
Did you like that opening?
Yeah.
I thought it would be funny.
Yeah.
It was. I'm great. I'm a very funny guy. Everybody agrees. Crowd? Yeah, he's funny. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think your mom left us a thing on the first episode.
Did she?
Yeah.
No, she didn't. My mom doesn't know how to
No,
use the internet,
if you
liar.
actually listen to our episodes, you would know that at the end you were like, "Love my." Oh, never mind. That one doesn't count. She was one of the fake reviews that you were.
Oh,
listing
right.
off.
It's been several weeks. It's been, I would think, 4 or 5, depending on the episode that we release this as. But today, Josh, do you know what I want to talk to you about?
I'm gonna guess monkeys. Since last episode we talked about Borg.
Right. I must have grabbed the wrong notes. Well,
Specifically, Donkey Kong.
oh no! Wait, I've got Diddy. Oh no! Oh, we're so wrong. This is just a mess. You know what? I'm sorry, everyone. We're gonna burn this. We'll cut this all.
We'll cut this out.
We'll cut this out. No, let's. I think today we're gonna talk a little bit about events at the Land Center, running them, and the types of events that you're looking to do, that you do, that you do, that you know.
Yeah.
That I like to attend, that brought me to the store, that bring other people to the store. So, what originally brought me was Hearthstone.
Hearthstone event. Yeah. Not
Fireside Gathering.
Yep.
Right.
The Nimsy one.
The Nimsy one, who is, by the way, the best skin there is. Got the best voice lines.
The butterflies when you tap is
Pretty good, yeah.
the best.
But yeah, and then the overnighters are, I think, what keep me coming. I mean, like, the everything else is great, but I love the all-nighters, getting to just be with everyone, and we play our games, and then we take our trips to walk over to Wawa or go get some food, but
Yeah, run amok around town.
right, yeah, it's really fun. But like, tell me a little bit about about these events, about running them, about the ones you want to do that you're doing now.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the current ones that we do. So on Sundays we have Smash 4. The interesting part, and what I would say is this really defining moment for running events in general, is understanding that the store needs to pick this up as a service. So we host the event. We have the computers and the streaming equipment and the monitors that people use and some of the consoles and things. So having those things is nice. But there's more that we can do, right? There's doing the tournament organizing itself. And the reason why I say that is because the tournament organizers in the community get burned out. They come to play the game. They don't come to run the tournament.
Right.
So one of the things that I'm currently working on with that is trying to figure out how we can pick that up with no people. And realistically, when that's the case, it comes down to Josh does it. So at least for a while, until I can either figure out how to automate it, AI on the last episode, or
It's just more efficient. You're right.
whatever. You got everything out on the last.
He's
episode.
on the Borg side.
Or finding a volunteer that just wants to do that. So those are kind of the two things that I would say is the most difficult at the moment. And then the other, we used to have a Melee tournament, but that fell through for the exact reason that I just told you. The guy that was running the Melee tournament was willing to drive out and play and then drive home, but he wasn't willing to run it anymore end to end because it was just burned out.
Right.
Plus driving out, 2 hours and then having to drive 2 hours back. I mean, that hurts.
That's a problem, yeah.
So what I kind of want to dive into is my thoughts around future events and then how to execute against some of that. So what I like to do is I like to start off with kind of the challenges of these events, and then we'll move from there.
Okay.
So the challenge is having the people that are able to take orders behind the counter and run the event at the same time. Generally speaking, it takes roughly 2 people to do that, or at least one person to kick it off, right? Start doing the event while other people are taking money,
right?
And then handing it off to an employee that's working there that can intermittently step away to check people out. So that's kind of the idea there. Just as a method of trying to improve the end user or customer experience, because the customer isn't just the people coming in to play the games, it's also the people coming in to run the game tournaments and as well. So that's something else that we're trying to take into consideration. So then you've got just like random ideas that I've got out, cosplay nights. What I like to talk about with this is, first of all, it's hard to get people out to play cosplay and then like stick around for a while. So as I was telling one of my employees, you got to look at this like a 3-course meal at a really nice restaurant that you like to go to. There's a reason why you go back to Applebee's and get yourself a steak with this certain kind of potato with this other thing. It's because it keeps you coming back.
Right.
Part of it. The other part is the ambiance and atmosphere.
Yeah. The incredibly fancy restaurant known as
Applebee's. So you have your main event, right? So this would be the cosplay tournament, let's call it. Competition. And so the idea would be that would be your meat and potatoes. Like that's the creme de la crop. That's why you're there in the first place, is because you're going to win something and go home knowing that you won something with a tangible object to prove it. The flip side to that is that generally these are going to be run during all-nighters. So now I've got people, and I like to think of the all-nighter for the cosplayers in this case as like the really nice drink that you like to chase everything down with, right? So you have this really cool event, you had your meat and potatoes, and now you're going to take a sip, right? And then when you take a sip, you want to keep drinking. And then the waitress brings you more, and you just keep drinking more because it's your favorite drink. You just drink it all the time.
Tap water, yeah.
Tea. Sweet tea for me.
My favorite fancy drink is tap water. From my favorite fancy restaurant, Applebee's.
So then I like to think of, some of the other stuff as like whatever kind of side. So it has this, let's say that there's an after event where like we do board games. Like we just break out a board game, like name your hidden role play game, right? Whatever it is, Witches of Salem or Werewolf or whatever you want to play, right? Yeah. And you play that. So you've got 3 things. The first thing that brought you in was the cosplay. Then you had your chaser is, I can be here as long as I want to tonight, up to 6 a.m. And the last part is I get to hang out with a bunch of people playing a really fun game. So every event is like this when I try to break it down into an equation. So Smash 4, it's the same thing. You come in, and what we're lacking in that area right now is how do I make it so that new players want to play against seasoned players? And I haven't figured out what makes that tick. The meat and potatoes is the tournament. I don't know what drink you sell with that tournament, right? So that's a challenge, is trying to provide that extra oomph to say, hey, even though you're going to get smacked down, we're and maybe it's just a thing where we have people come in if it's your first time in the Smash tournament, we cover your venue fee. You just have to pay for pools, something like that.
Yeah.
Just something to encourage new players to come out and play.
Yeah, because it is hard to come in and get beat by people who are a lot better than you.
Absolutely, and you feel like that skill gap is incredibly far apart, and it's going to take you a really long time to get to where they are. But what folks need to realize is that in that community, any competitive community, other competitors are willing to give you feedback on what you did wrong. So there's an opportunity there to learn if you're interested in getting into it more competitively. Unfortunately, even our competitive people are also casuals, so they're casually competitive. But at the same time, if you look at the power rankings, at least 3 of the 10 of them are from our region. The 3 guys that always win, top 3, are those 3 guys. So you have to get creative with some of that stuff to, I don't want to say exclude them, but figure out a way to make it more fun for the larger community.
Right. Yeah.
So, the meat and potatoes of, or the 3-course, as I'll call it, for the cosplay nights are really easy. To start a tournament, also pretty easy. You put it out there. Here's the main course, and I'm gonna start running a PUBG tournament as an example, or an Overwatch tournament, and people just show up for those. So this goes back to a couple episodes ago. We were talking about the law of diffusion of innovation. That puts you on a serious spike. I mean, you get people in. It takes a minute, but when it does take off, it takes off. The trick is, with every competitive tournament now, it's going to be just like Smash 4. There's going to be, it's going to go and go and go, and then you're going to have the people that are always going, but they're just so good that it doesn't matter. Right? They're just earning everything. So if I could fix the problem that's going on with Smash 4, I could therein fix every other tournament issue. Right? So that's something that I'm trying to work through as far as the maturity process of a tournament. And the same thing is true for even larger tournaments. It's just a little bit easier. It's a little more, how do you put it, appetizing, because you're there with thousands of people that are playing in your tournament, like SmashCon as an example. But you always expect for the top 4 to be like, Nairo, Zero, I don't know, DeBuzz or somebody else, right? It's always going to be the same 4 people, maybe interchanging a few people in and out. Well, how do you fix that? Because that gets old. Everybody knows. There were over the last couple of years, Zero won like 46 tournaments in a row. Yeah, that was boring as shit. And it got to a point where people were rooting against Zero, even though this is like, that kind of sucks. You just get tired of seeing the same person whoop everybody's ass, right? It's like the Patriots.
I was gonna bring it to sports. I didn't know if you wanted to, but yes, it's very similar.
It's the same. Like you get tired of seeing the not the Mets, but the Yankees win all the time, or you get tired of seeing the Patriots win all the time. You get, I don't know what it is in basketball, but you get the idea.
LeBron. Most people are tired of LeBron. Well, not people were tired of LeBron. Not so much now. Now you kind of know that he's transcendent, but
yeah,
I digress.
But that's the same kind of mentality, and it just gets old to see the same thing over and over again. So the trick is how do you mix that up? And a lot of times it's finding somebody in the community that's got a better skill ceiling, which comes in professional sports. That's easy, right? Because you're actively out there looking for those people.
Right.
When it comes to casual gameplay in a tournament at a venue, it gets complicated because your new skills, or the people that you're looking at haven't been playing the game for a long period of time. They've just picked it up, or maybe they had played it for a long time, but then they switched games. So there's a little bit of what I would consider a challenge, and I don't know how to fix it yet. But I figured I'd put it out there, and if anybody has any ideas,
yeah, shoot them to us. Any any thoughts you have. Period. Just anything you're thinking. You just tell us.
Yeah, there will definitely be some episodes where we take some like topics that other people are bringing up that they want to hear about, and we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
Right now, as I was telling Devin, some of these I'm trying to help the community, and at the same time I'm trying to help myself. I'm going to go back and listen to some of these and be like, wow, I'm an idiot. There's an easy way for me to do that. For anybody that's ever listened to a podcast, you do that on a fairly regular basis when you're listening to somebody else talk, except you're actually listening to yourself talk, so it becomes this really weird, productive piece of information.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so I feel like for a LAN center to get into specifically tournaments, and so events are good, right? We could throw a birthday party. Those are fairly simple. Everybody else brings in their own food, stuff like that. All we have to do is make the venue presentable and usable. For cosplay nights, that's something that we're running ourselves. I've already told you, how that triangle works of ambiance and atmosphere and things of that nature. The tournaments, long-term, are the hard ones. So what I'm thinking about doing to freshen it up or liven it up a bit is run 4 different games every month on a Saturday. So one week I'd do Dragon Ball FighterZ, the next week I'd do like Overwatch, the following week I'd do Hearthstone, and then the week after that we might do like one-on-one StarCraft 2 or something like that. And then applying an ELO rating to all of the players. So then it becomes baseball. So every player has an incentive now, and they can rate themselves on a scale. And it's not a power ranking. Yes, in baseball and other sports and chess and things like that, having a rating is... you could be considered an MVP, right, for a team. But the MVP status is temporary because it's based purely upon win-loss ratios, right? So if you go, as an example, if somebody were to go out and do a different tournament somewhere else and lose, that would apply to the ELO rating. So the idea is I would keep track of everybody locally. I don't care about everybody else, but just locally.
Of course.
Well, I care, but you bite off as much as
you heard it here. Josh doesn't care about anybody, but locally, I care about all of you. So, if you're on
Borg win.
Hashtag team Borg for Devin and hashtag team only local for Josh. Remember, get your hashtags out there. We'll be checking Twitter.
So, if I were to do something like that, and keeping track of all those people, that allows new players to look at somebody and go, okay, so they're good, but they're not great. They've got their weaknesses too, right? And then they can go back, and since, again, going back to the baseball thing, they keep track of a pitcher to a hitter's averages against each other.
Right.
So, like, in this game, this pitcher has pitched, 4 strikes and 0 balls and no hits towards this one hitter. And so you could see how those two compare to each other in this competitive nature. So the idea would be something similar, and then run it in seasons. So the first season would be like, 6 months long or something, 3 months long, interchangeably. And then there would be an incentive at the end, aside from just improving your own ELO rating. Yeah. It would also be, you'd get a prize out of it of some kind. I haven't decided how that should be incentivized. Normally it's money. If I do money, I'm going to have to charge people more, and they're going to have to understand that, because I'm going to have pool prizes per week, and then pull prizes for the end of the season. So right now we run $10, so I might raise it up to 15 or 20, so that this all carries over into the larger scheme of payout at the end of the season.
Right. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'd settle for a trophy, but
The other thing that I'm struggling with, and I feel like it's occurring with the overnighters, and I'm hoping I can lean on you to provide some insight, is I feel like the overnighters are becoming stale. So the cosplay night was a good twist. I liked it. But now that we're running overnighters every Friday, it's going to become the same problem that we're having with these tournaments we're going to have with the overnighters. Although there's no competitive nature, there's also nothing to spice it up.
I can see where you're coming from. I know for me personally, I just like being there and playing games. That's really, and I mean, I can think of things to do. Have a little more. We could have tournaments during them, not like big. Just a couple, 4 or 5 people, whatever. Just play.
Yeah, like a fun 3v3 or something like that.
Just something silly, or just like more board games we could play, or any sort of. Some people are just there to just
chill.
Right, and even that, or just play with like each other specific, like just 2 people want to play with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are going to do that. Some people want a little more of the community aspect, but I don't know about stale. But that's just me personally. I don't need a lot. I'm not a. I like this, just sitting in the dark and playing games with all the glowing keyboards and the glowing lights in the back, and with Twitch on the TVs, and you can kind of look over at whatever Overwatch League and stuff, and keep playing, or go play up front, go play board games, go get food. I don't know. It's
the whole thing for you is an adventure,
right? Or even just, it reminds me of when I was young and we used to have Gears night. Me and my friends, we would all play Gears of War, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's very similar because they would absolutely destroy me every game. I was by far the weakest link out of all of them. I was always last picked, always, and I didn't care. Like, it was still fun, even though I got completely murdered all the time or carried.
Right.
And I mean, it came down to everybody being my friend, I guess. So I mean, we could do that, and we can make everybody friends with each other.
Yeah, that is true.
Isn't it a beautiful world that I'm imagining?
That is true, but I'd have to figure out a way to get everybody off the computers long enough, and then find a common ground.
Right. It's kind of
even if the common ground. See, I like to do this to people that play PUBG. They'll be walking by and they're talking about
Player Underground Battleground. What is it called?
Player Unknown.
Player Unknown Battleground. Yeah, that's.
So while they're playing PUBG, my favorite thing to do is if they yell at me because their computer restarted or they blue screened, or they get pissed off because they lost a match and they're telling me about it as they walk out the door to go for a smoke or something. I tell them, "Well, stop playing bad games." Right? Yeah, that's not. You wouldn't consider that to be conducive, but think about it when you were a kid, right? Like, we used to do that shit to each other all the time. Oh, I'm playing Pokemon Blue. Well, I'm playing Pokemon Red. What now? I'm going to beat Charmander. You could beat Blastoise. I'm still going to kill you.
By the way, hashtag Pokemon Red for Devin fans. Hashtag Pokemon Blue for Josh fans.
But, like, that's, even then, like, that was a cool concept for calling out competition. And it's literally the same thing, except one's red and one's blue. And some Pokemon you could get, and some of them you couldn't.
Yeah.
So, like, on red you could get Weedle, but on blue you could get Caterpie. So, like, it was just small, minute changes that changed the entire course of the competition. And even though you didn't have anything in common, you did have something in common.
Right.
So even though I don't like PUBG, by telling them I don't like PUBG, but they know I play video games, because I know I don't like PUBG, right?
Right.
I still get respect for it.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so maybe we should all just, shit talk each other. Hey, that looks like a really bad game.
I think that's how, it's kind of how you know you're friends with someone, when you can say those things and it is in jest. Everyone knows, like,
yeah,
there is that camaraderie.
Yeah. But I've been trying to figure out how to do that with the new people, because, think about this for a moment. When you came in the second time for the Hearthstone tournament, that turned out to be like nothing but a 6-man hangout.
Yes.
Had myself or Nick not sat down and played with you, do you think you'd come back?
That's a good question. It's hard to say, because I'll never know, because you did. Right? I'll never know.
What I'm finding is that if an employee or somebody that works there engages with you in your playing, you're much more likely to enjoy your time, because now you know that the employees that work there also care. So the community, it's a leadership thing. Just because you're an employee doesn't make you not a leader. You lead by example and by caring and empathizing and sympathizing with somebody. So, we had 2 guys that came in, played PUBG together, and this whole time we're talking about this, in my head I'm like, well, I could make it a 13th PC so that extra space on that last table has an extra PC, so 2 people can sit next to each other and play.
Yeah.
Right? So even small tweaks like that, I mean, I say small, but it's an $1,100 investment to allow somebody else to sit down next to their buddy and play. So, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just watch your click and pen. I noticed you doing it again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to all the listeners out there. Josh does have a pen clicking problem. We're working on it. We'll get through it together.
No, we're not. I have a ton of nervous energy. Like, my legs are shaking right now.
Yeah.
And I have no control over it.
But at least we can't hear that.
That is true. That is true. You could feel it, though, I'm sure. It's kind of like an earthquake. So, anyway, for all of the business owners out there that are trying to run events, I think the event running in and of itself has to be treated as if it's its own business, and it has its own business model. So it's a sub-business within your business. Okay. Although the player experience is part of the overall, right? To be quite frank, you can't be everything. So I'll give you an example. With the Forge, we started off doing anime and esports. The esports worked because I was willing, and so is a couple of other people, I'll leave their names off of this since this is public, decided that we were going to stream the events, we were going to run the events ourselves, and enjoy not playing, right? Like, we were okay with that. Meanwhile, the owner of the store had an employee up front taking money. So we literally had 2 businesses under one roof. Over the years, tournament organizers have died off because they how do I put this? They don't really get anything out of it. They don't get paid for it. They don't do any of that, right? So the only way to fix that is to pay them for it, right? This gives them incentive to continue to do that work, because that's what it is. It's a lot of work. People don't know that. So for Smash, you have to post up on Smashboards. You go into Reddit and you make a post to make sure that everybody knows about the event. Then you go and you make a Twitter post, and you make a if you wanted to, you can make a Facebook post, and then you go and a lot of professional, even semi-professional Smash players like to review their content to see how they played in certain scenarios. So they want a streaming service so that we can take that data and put it out there for them to review it. Okay. Then there's the sound quality issues of the streams. There's the video quality for the streams. There is the calling out of an individual to go to. So you're actually at this point we're talking about the actual organization of the tournament. So we're saying so and so get on this setup, so and so on this setup, so and so on this setup, so on. And then there's the scorekeeping aspect of it, and then there's the payout. So if you look at that model top down, that's a business, right? But the communities want it for free. Well, that doesn't quite seem right, does it? Especially if your tournament dies off, and then you come back 3 or 4 months later and you go, man, I really miss the times that I used to have when I was playing in that tournament on that day, playing that game. So this is almost like a call to action for players. You have to take into consideration the livelihood of the people that are doing the work for you. So don't shortchange that business or the business model for that matter, right? It can be and should be, and I'm currently working on it personally, part of your overall business model when you own a venue, especially one that cares about community. When you talk about competition, that is in my opinion, the best way to learn to be friends with somebody. If somebody kicks your ass, you don't walk out of there feeling bad for yourself. You should immediately turn to that person and go, great game. Can you help me? I know the set is over, but when we walk away from this, can you help me understand what I was doing wrong so I could do something different? And, back in the day when I started playing Smash 4, it was you roll too much, right? Or you do this too much, or your approach options are kind of weird, or you leave yourself open here, here, and here because you don't approach this way, right? It was small stuff like that. Now we're talking about frame data and all kinds of crazy stuff. But back in the day, that's what it was. And had I stuck with it, I moved away for a year, but had I stuck with it, and I would have, I'd probably be a better player today. I'd be at least in the top 10, 15, right? Yeah. So, the call to action again is just, if you guys as players, as competitive players, really want this to succeed in your local communities, you can't be afraid to pay the money. And this is why, for my tournaments, I'm doing rotating. $20 a month is not bad. Right. $20 a week is bad.
Yeah, it's rough.
Right? So this way, when I start charging more, but I'm rotating my games out, I'm hoping people will start to understand that we're trying to make a business model for something that currently doesn't really exist. We're talking about local communities. Right. We're not talking about large upscale, MLG, SmashCon, anything like that. We're not talking about these large conventions. That's easy. I charge you $50, and I know that I'm going to get the turnout for it. So, whatever, because I've already got buy-in from some of the top players to come in. Well, the top players aren't going to come into these small events.
Right.
Not unless I go to them and say, hey, if I give you $100, will you drive down and play in this event and then win it and take all the money?
Yeah.
Right? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. It makes zero sense. So I want to see these events blossom. All of them. The cosplay nights, the overnighters, the tournaments, board game nights. Right?
Yes.
I want to see all that stuff blossom. Just fork over a little cash. You know what I mean? Don't expect... I think our biggest mistake was when the community started demanding that we do streaming services, that we should have done it for free for a while and then increase the venue price. Because we're providing an additional service. The $5 venue covers the venue. You're here. You're using my monitors, right? People can't come in and play these other things. They can't play on my computers because you guys are using extra computer space. And it's $5. I'm sacrificing almost $10 per 3 hours so that you can play in your tournament. That's not fair to the business owner. It's not fair to the business. So that's this, and to be frank, this thought is just to make people think about what I'm talking about. Yeah. This is a new business model, right? When Walmart raises its prices, nobody complains because they understand, right? Swine flu kicks off. Pork prices go up. It just happens that way. Right. We have to slaughter, 10,000 cows because they're all sick. Price of beef goes up. Nobody asks any questions. They complain, but they still buy the beef. I'm asking you to do the same thing, take into consideration that we're providing these extra services, and then if you really, really want that community to blossom, well, you're going to have to fork over some additional cash so that I can hire somebody to run the tournament. Right? Because places like Xanadu do a really good job of just running tournaments. That's what they do, right? That's quite honestly their business model. Every day is a new tournament. And they do it really, really well. Their streaming quality is really high. They have a lot of players in the region, and they build that competitive community in the Northeast. Northeast-ish is still kind of... Yeah. It's in Maryland, so... But land centers can have an opportunity to do the same thing because we offer the venue and we have all the same stuff. But you have to look at it as a separate business model. Right. All right. So anyway, I think I beat that one to death.
No, that's good. He dropped it. He can't click it. No more clicking the pen.
No more clicking the pen. I want to click the pen, though. Hey, give me your pen.
No, this is mine. But now I can click it and blame it on you.
Yeah. So anyway, for everybody that's listening, right, this is my second call to action. I would appreciate your feedback. Any kind of feedback. It could be bad. I don't care. Like, if you hate me, I'll probably get a little upset when I read it, and then I'll just be like, whatever. And I'll swipe it away, right? But if you can give me, like, respectful feedback, something that says, you're right, that does sound okay, and as long as there's, you're thinking about the player and you're not outrageously charging them and whatever, makes a lot of sense, or something along those lines. I appreciate all feedback.
Yes. Also, I also appreciate feedback, but only good feedback. Don't give me any bad feedback. Only tell me good things.
So I'll let your mom know when we post these.
No, is she
gonna shit post?
Yeah, she might. I'm not totally positive she's gonna only give me good reviews.
Yeah.
She could be honest. Yeah. But if you're out there, please don't be honest with me. Tell me I'm great. That is what I add.
This is the problem with the newest generation is they get fucking prizes for everything. Hey, you failed 9th grade. Good job. You're gonna start it again. Here's
for the record. I had this fight with my mom a few weeks ago, honestly, but they keep complaining. Your generation just wants participation trophies. Who gave them to us? You did. We didn't ask for them. You're the one who gave us the trophies. We were like,
it's true.
It's your fault. Don't blame us because you decided to do it.
Yeah.
But yes, please give me participation trophies, everyone. Yeah. Any 5-star review, I will personally say your name before I sleep. Like, right. What's her name?
All right.
The Stark girl.
So do you have any questions to me about the events that maybe I missed something?
I don't know. I think you covered it pretty well. I mean, we talked, we talked about the different kinds and how to run them and the important parts of building the community and getting people in. I think that's what we were here to do, right?
Yeah.
I think it was good.
How would you run an event?
How would I run an event? Like a well-oiled machine, it would be very efficient.
Oh, the puns in that are incredible. I hate you.
I know you do. I know.
I can't. I told Devin that I was gonna do this like phone laugh, and so like every time he does something like that, I just so I apologize if I'm blowing people's eardrums.
Get used to it. They love it. They love your boisterous Brody laugh.
Man, it's crazy. Man, that's just crazy.
That is just crazy. That is wild.
Anybody that knows anything about Smash is gonna laugh about that, I think.
Yeah, I'm not on that list.
No.
So,
all right. Well, I think we can. I know we're early, but I think we can wrap this.
It doesn't. It doesn't. We decide how long they are. They don't all have to be an hour.
Yeah.
41:14 is pretty good. Plus whatever this part is adding to it.
All right. So do you have any call to actions? Call to actions.
The same one I have every week.
Oh man, don't do it.
Love each other.
Don't do it.
Respect each other. Cut each other some slack. Let someone be vulnerable and don't bite their head off for it.
Yeah, except unless you're a cyborg.
Oh well, yeah. If you're a cyborg, then cool, man.
Yeah.
You're that's sweet.
By the way, go ahead and tell everybody what your address is, so that when the cyborgs take over, you're one of the first ones they turn.
Oh, that would be cool. Do you think they'll do that? You can.
I can't.
Well then, I was gonna give the Forge address. They'll get you first. Well, all right. That's enough chit chat. Now at the end of the episode, this has been the Good Luck and Have Fun podcast. I'm Devin,
And I'm Josh.
and you guys
Stay frosty.
Stay frosty. Boo.